Welcome to Occam's Razor. Please like, share, subscribe. If there's any tips you'd like to leave, there's a link down below. If there's any other kind of tips you'd like to leave, there's a link down for that as well. Today is BCF Fridays, where we just go through Blazing Cat Fur's website, very cold, and see what stories come up. He is a news aggregator, and I'm going to leave a little clip at the end of this show regarding this woman right here, Kathy Shadle. Um, some nice warm rememberings during Rebel News this week. So let's get on to it. Holy moly joly. Yes, Joly meant Canada's Liberal government has chosen a side and ceded control of its streets to Islamists, just like all the European nations enjoying the benefits of Islamist immigration and multiculturalism. Here we have a sub post here saying, what did Melanie Joly mean when she called Canada the most foreign of all non-European countries? That was the answer BCF gave, and I have to agree with him. He's living in Toronto, and he is seeing his streets being occupied by Islamists who are praying in the streets, blocking traffic, and the cops are not doing anything. This is a repeated pattern of what happened in Europe, which eventually led to no-go zones. We know there's already strife on the streets, but this is causing because, for some reason, Toronto cops don't like to enforce the law. Maybe it has something to do with their ethnic makeup of the force now. Anyway, let's move on to the next story. A pogrom is brewing in Canada. Oh, what is this? The days of exclusionary signs at golf clubs have been replaced by open calls for jihad in Jewish neighborhoods. This will not end well. Yes, this will not end well. We tried to warn you people 15, 18 years ago, all of us that were blogging on the sites regarding Islam and how it is intolerant of all other beliefs and ideologies. And, well, next thing you know, you have enough of them congregate in Canada, and next thing you know, hate crimes go up against the very people that their scripture says they need to oppress. So, late last year, I sat down to breakfast in Ottawa, Ontario, with Dr. Enid Wilf, one of the world's foremost experts on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. She had come to Canada capital to speak about the war in Israel, what Palestinians really want, and the future of a possible two-state solution. Near the end of our chat, I asked if she had seen any of the pro-Palestinian rallies that had become a weekly occurrence in the city. None of them went by my hotel last night, Will said. There's a very dark energy to them. Serious pre-pogrom vibes. Pogrom vibes. The word pogrom is the Yiddish word for devastation or destruction and refers to, historically, are the mob attacks that were a regular feature of life for Jews in the 19th and 20th centuries. Attacks that most often were passively or openly supported by the state. Imagine that. So here we have the state in Toronto fully supporting and allowing Islamists to pray through the pray in our streets, block the traffic, or in large public squares. And then anybody tries to photograph them or question them, they swarm them, and the police do nothing. This is what happens. So the Canadian state has chosen to side with the Islamists for a good reason. It was the state that enabled Muslim immigration, and now it has blown up in their face. The bureaucrats and politicians responsible for this fiasco fear having to face accountability for their heinous acts of social engineering. So they chose to double down and support these latter-day stormtroopers because they fear them more than they fear the Jews, and anyone else for that matter. In a just world, they would be in shackles. They know it. Move on to the next story. Sweden to criminalize virginity test as 7 charged for honor killing. Oh, it's another lovely thing about some of the subcultures within Islam when they fully practice their version of Sharia. A few decades ago, no one would have believed that a Western European country would have to resort to legislating to ban virginity tests in order to protect the lives of women and girls, yet here we are. Well, maybe you should look at how Islam treats women, how they consider them a possession of their left hand. The Swedish government is now preparing to criminalize the practice, which currently only carries the risk of professional disciplinary action if discovered. According to the proposal, medical professionals who partake in virginity control and issue virginity certificates based on the observation of the hymen, or carry out surgical procedures aimed at restoring the hymen, will be subjected to criminal charges. Well, you let them in your country, and you didn't change them into the social norms of your society. You allowed them to live within their own culture and their own values, which did not reflect obviously the values of your state. And there you have it. Oh, what's this W2F moment here? A Canadian business owner drops bombshell. Government pays him to hire migrants over locals. Oh. A convenience store owner claimed he's paid to hire Indian workers, literally, thanks to 30% kickbacks from the government. I hire you, you're from India. That's basically what happens. So let's play this video, see what he says. It's 20-year-olds, that's not the job. Companies get hired that hire them. Yes. Okay, and also
they could get kickbacks from the government. I own a convenience store, for instance. I hire you, you're from India. Then I get an MLRI, I get to hire you, and basically what happens is I pay you $20 an hour. The government every 3 months gives me a 30% kickback. When I was in Prince George, my hometown, the people at the movie theater, the lady was telling me she doesn't want to work here anymore because everyone she works with is Indian and they all speak Punjab. So she goes to work. She's a Canadian kid that grew up in a small conservative town that can't work in a place because no one that she works with actually speaks English, because they come here and they don't speak English either. If you were that person that owned the movie theater and your cost of doing business were 30% went straight into just hiring the kids, hiring employees. Now, if that 30% now to pay 60% of that 30% because you got that all back, you're going to make more money. So what do people do? They take care of themselves and their family. So they will hire those people because their family is going to get rewarded as a result.
There, that's better. You are the carbon they want to cancel. You are the people that they want to replace. Well, that's what that video is about. All right, what's this? Quebec Premier Francois Legault warned that Trump return could trigger a massive influx of immigrants into Canada as the U.S. pushes to deport millions. Legault urged Ottawa to tighten border security, noting that while immigrants, oh well, we've seen what the Liberals have done. If the Americans are going to push 10 million and migrants into our country, I bet you the Liberals will just say, this is the best thing ever. We don't have to go out and pay them to come. They'll just come right over the border and then we can pay them when they get here. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right? They pay these migrants. They actually went out of the country, sought out other migrants to come to Canada, paid them. And when they come here, they basically pay them for 2 years. They buy them furniture, they give them money for clothes, they give them money to live and go to education and everything else. In fact, they get more money and benefits than our seniors in Canada. And now we're just about to get 10 million more. Like we're not broke enough. Ontario's four new small reactors at Darlington Station to cost nearly 21 billion. It doesn't look like a bargain. The price tag is 20.9 billion. Oh, great. Let's shave off a million off that. We're just rounding error. The estimated cost of the design and building four small modular reactors, SMRs, at the Darlington Nuclear Generating Station on Lake Ontario east of Oshawa, providing a total of 1,200 megawatts of electricity, enough to power 1.2 million homes, as demand for power is expected to surge 75% by 2050. Guys, you built a bunch of battery plants. I know they went TDs up, and you want to push electric vehicles, right? You want to ban internal combustion engines in Canada. by 2035. Do people forget that when they voted the Liberals back in that they want to ban stuff that they have, like ban more guns, ban freedom of speech, ban everything, that they're all about the banning. But in this case here, they're like, oh, we expect a surge of 75%. Dudes, but the current infrastructure can't even handle charging 3 EVs per city block. I think the demand is way lower than what you think. The demand is way higher than what you think it is, especially when you're looking forward to what you want to do. This, of course, we're going into a horse and buggy future. That's pretty green. Germany's spy agency walks back extremist label for AFD. Oh, well, that's good news. You may have seen in one of my prior videos, I was talking about AFD. Germany's domestic intelligence service has withdrawn its newly announced classification of the far-right Alternative Germany AfD party as a confirmed extremist organization, at least temporarily. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Watch your P's and Q's, or we'll do it again. We'll call you evil people, and then we'll violate your rights. The 6 days after the agency, the Federal Office of the Protection of the Constitution, also known as BFV, said it had gathered definitive evidence that the AFD seeks to undermine Germany's democratic order. BFV told Administrative Court in Cologne that it will suspend the classification while legal proceedings are ongoing. Oh, I see. It's not a change of mind. The courts forced them to do it. As is always with these leftists, is that they will push the limit wherever they can, initiate their control, and then force you to take them to court and walk it back. And then, unless they're not in power, then they just take you to court for over everything. Canada contends with simmering Western frustration post-election. Oh, well, that's because Canadians weren't paying attention. You didn't pay attention, obviously, because you voted the Liberals back in. You didn't pay attention to the last 10 years of destruction that the Liberals have wrought. We're a broke nation. We're so far in debt that the GST collected doesn't even cover the interest payments. And you stopped a whole boatload of energy development out west. And the one pipeline you did finish, industry was ready to pay for it, and you pissed them off, and then we had to pay for it. Five or six times what it was originally designed to cost. And of course, now with businesses running away from Canada because of all these stupid, woke, green rules and a bureaucracy that takes 10 years to get anything built now in Canada, businesses are just fleeing and not coming to Canada. And the government's probably going to say, oh, don't worry, we'll pay for it. No, no, no. They're not paying for it. We're paying for it. And we've been paying for it for the past 10 years while they fill their pockets and the pockets of their friends with our tax money. But don't worry, Canadians. They'll increase the taxes and introduce more legislation so that I can't even do these videos. And you wouldn't be able to listen to them unless you have a VPN. So what's to say here? The stakes for Western alienation were raised this week when Alberta Premier Danielle Smith said she would allow a question on separation to go to a referendum if it meets the requirements. While Smith made it clear she doesn't support separation itself, she said Albertans holding such views should not be called traitors. Indeed, the left and those who have to search for something in their life. The people that don't have anything in their lives always seem to grab on to the latest virtue signaling issue. Right? They don't have a higher power. They don't have any God that they can talk to on a regular basis. So they have this big empty hole in their soul that they need to fill on a regular basis. So they just grab on to every single little thing that comes along and think that this is what's really important in life. When there's so many other things that are really more important in life. Yes, some things are important like this, but seriously, and people just got so upset. Why they have no memory. I mean, did they forget that in 1977, Quebec separatists took over the provincial government and then called for a referendum in 81? Or was it about 80? It's about the time we moved anyway. Moved into Ontario, having grown up in northern Quebec. And then they did it again in 96, 95, 96, 97. Anyway, so we had two. And you still have separatist Péquist government in Quebec, and you still have federal bloc MPs elected in your face separation all the time. Oh, but it's the West. All of a sudden now the West is the big anxiety for separation when it's been there all the time. You people need to uniform foxtrot your minds and get on board with what's really happening and start paying attention to all the people that have been beat off the past 10 years because obviously they've had enough. And let's see, I guess we're going to see how this referendum, if they get a question, if they get enough signatures, if they actually get it on the ballot. I mean, this entire thing is going to take more than a year, even if it's a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. But people are losing their collective minds because, oh my God, Canada's so important. These are all the same people that continue to ignore what's happening to the Canadian Armed Forces, where they have their own members. They lost 10% of the force due to the QB mandate. And then the ones that stayed, there's some that have been injured, unalived, and they've just abandoned them. Said, "Oh, no, you're on your own. Wasn't work related." Yeah, but now now this is a existential threat. Right? No, not the fact that you don't have an effective military to protect you. Which borders language and culture. How are you going to protect your borders if you don't have a military? But no. You're more concerned about the whole thing breaking apart because you haven't been paying attention for the past 10 years. Hamas hostage condemns Pulitzer Prize award to skeptic. Oh, yeah? A British woman who was held captive by Hamas for 15 months has condemned the award of a prestigious prize to the poet who questioned whether she had been a hostage. Emily Demari, 28, was shot in the hand and leg when she was seized from the Kfar Aza kibbutz when Hamas-led gunmen streamed into Israel and Gaza in October 2023, October 7th. So they pulled his award. Well, that's good. Oh, no, it's condemned. They didn't pull the award. Well, there we go. Another example. Another example. Pro-Islam, anti-Semitic incidents. Yes, let's just ignore the whole thing. Yeah, it's not looking good for the Jews. Assaults, bomb threats, Nazi salutes. Canada's courts are starting to convict those targeting Jews. Oh, well, let's see. The surge of crimes against Canada's Jewish community that began after the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack and Israeli military response in Gaza has resulted in the first handful of criminal convictions. In February, Omar Al-Qadri was convicted of assaulting a woman as he tore down the posters she was putting up on a Toronto street showing children held hostage by Hamas. Oh, I remember seeing that video. It says, I don't buy this. It seems like LPC propaganda, to be honest. The incidents mentioned are a very small fraction of the number claimed. Yes, it's true. Very true, Blazing Cat Fur. And we'll see where it goes. But I'm just as skeptical as he is. China agrees to U.S. trade talks. Oh, I guess China, God. China has agreed to the first major talks with U.S. since Donald Trump imposed sweeping tariffs and launched a global trade war. Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, and Jameson Greer, the U.S. Trade Representative, will meet with their counterparts in Geneva this week. It is a move that Mr. Bessent has described as de-escalation amid growing market worry over the impact of tariffs on the world economy and working Americans. I guess most people are not aware that the shipping that has happened back and forth over the Pacific has practically come to a stop into North America because of the trade wars. So a lot of the things that you're seeing in the dollar stores, especially south of the border, what they have on the shelves is pretty well all they have. Their warehouses are fleetingly getting empty, and I expect the same thing to be happening in Canada as well. Anything that was manufactured in China is being turned around. So this trade deal is very necessary because factories everywhere in China are also shutting down because nobody's buying their stuff. So China's hurting bad. China hurt bad. Fournier, the truth about selenium is that activists won't tell you the truth. How anti-mining activists manipulate information to serve their purposes. Today's highly organized environmentalists believe the ends justify the means. However, to influence public sentiment, few of them have more succinctly stated their willingness to misapply scientific expertise and data than Greenpeace. As a case in point, Paul Watson, co-founder of Greenpeace, is famous for saying, "It doesn't matter what is true; it only matters what people believe is true." That's true. Would the left finally explain the inexplicable? What's going on with Biden? The left broke norms, erased borders, and weaponized justice, not to govern, crushed Trump, and cling to power by any means necessary. Somewhere between 10 and 12 million illegal aliens were invited into the United States by the Biden administration. As far as logistics go, Biden could not flee Afghanistan without getting 13 Marines killed and abandoning to the terrorists, Taliban, $50 billion in munitions, $1 billion embassy, and a $300 million retrofitted huge airbase. They're talking about the airbase in Kandahar where I was at. That was a lot of concrete they poured. But Biden and his handlers proved far more logistically capable when their target was fellow Americans. Hmm. That might be an interesting piece to read later. Again, unless Canadians pay attention to this, they have no idea what both the Obama and Biden administration did to American citizens. They have targeted their own citizens while opening the borders and flooding them with immigrants. Remember, the Tea Party started under Obama and has changed over the years. I think it evolved into MAGA. And it all started because of the Marxist Obama that was elected at the time and his immediate targeting of Christians within his own nation. The fate of America's plutocrats. In what can only be described as the most astonishing turn of events in American political history, the Democrat Party over the past 20 years has evolved into a previously unimagined alliance of super rich plutocrats and their 2-century old mortal enemy, the far left or Marxists. Many years ago, while participating in a voter registration drive, I came upon a grizzled and disheveled old man sitting in an overgrown and weed infested yard of his paint starved house, calmly smoking his pipe. Despite his gruff demeanor, Uli, short for Ulysses, was very pleasant and loquacious as we talked for over an hour on topics ranging from the weather to the innate foibles of mankind. Well, this looks like a well written read. And report warns that making nice with Trump is auto sector's only hope. Mm-hmm. That's right. Things are so much better when you get along with your neighbors. Isn't that true? Especially when they are your largest trading partner. We have a symbiotic relationship with Americans, and the fact that the liberals out there elected a man who said that we were going to stand alone, and then immediately went to the White House and licked his nutsack. Good for you, liberals. Despite campaign promises by Prime Minister Mark Carney that Canada can dodge U.S. tariffs with an all in Canada audit sector, a new CD Howe Institute report claims that the only realistic future for Canadian auto manufacturing is to make nice with the Americans. To maintain our manufacturing base, Canada must either exponentially expand its share of the domestic market or achieve healthy sales across the larger North American market, reads the new report written by Stephen Beattie, the recently retired corporate secretary of Toyota Canada. Yeah, I'm not hopeful either, like Bernie says here. We're in for a rough time, and we tried to warn you, Canada, don't vote the Liberals in, because as you can see here in Ontario, uh, Ontario is about to self-implode, right? Because all the industry here is all based on people buying stuff they can't afford, and we're not actually manufacturing anything in Ontario anymore. So, good luck with the next government, fools. Greta Thunberg's moral siege of Israel. Oh God, I don't want to read anything about her. She's a dunce. Okay, I'm not going to go to the next page. I think this is enough. So, right after this, stay tuned. There's a short clip from Rebel News regarding Kathy. It warms my cockle that people remember her fondly. I always do. Uh, Thanks for coming out, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Kathy Shadle, rest her soul.
Mm.
She and I used to have this ongoing email thread where she would just send me the cost of a ramshackle garden shed in Toronto. And it was just like,
Uh-huh.
what can you get for this this price point in Toronto? And I would match it with the price point from Alberta.
Yes.
And it was like, here's your McMansion on a lake for your haunted garden shed in Toronto.
Yes.
And the one in Alberta comes without ghosts. So like,
No,
it was,
truly.
it's
You
obscene. I
can
don't know how
buy
anybody gets ahead in Toronto.
you can buy a beautiful house in Saskatchewan, like a drop dead beautiful home in Saskatchewan for the same price as Justin Trudeau used to spend on food on his international trips. I'm not making this up. Like good-natured people of Ontario and Quebec and Eastern Canada, come now, come west. This is where the future's at. This is where you belong. Like come, we
But-
just invite all of you guys to join us out here in the West. It's the best.
Yeah, but leave your voting habits behind unless your voting habits vote for smaller government and more accountability. Please
We're not
Ottawa
taking
my
lefties.
Alberta.
Yeah, we're not taking lefties at this time. So thanks so much for your application. But no, we'll keep you out there. But if you are freedom minded and if you are prosperity driven and you want to have a successful, awesome life that costs you so much less, come to Saskatchewan, come to Alberta. We'd be happy to have you.